Today's true crime tale is about a long-haul trucker named Adam Leroy Lane, who used his work routes for a short-lived campaign of murder across the Northeast USA. His motive was nothing more than the thrill to kill. Now, please be advised, this story contains descriptions of traumatic events that may be disturbing to some listeners, so we encourage those who may be affected by such content to exercise discretion in engaging with this episode. So, for those fascinated by true crime, mysteries, and the paranormal, you found your haven. I am committed to bringing you thought provoking content with new episodes released at least 3 times a week, sometimes even more. So, if you find these stories compelling, I invite you to support my channel by liking and subscribing. Join me now as we explore the depths of today's riveting narrative. So, the story unfolds in a sleepy town of Chelmsford, Massachusetts, where the calm of a typical Sunday night was about to be shattered. On the 30th of July, on 2007, just before 4 a.m., the only disturbing the suburban stillness was the distant hum of a traffic on 495. But in one house, a family lay blissfully unaware of the horror that was about to unfold. Kevin McDonough, sound asleep, was jolted awake by a faint whimpering sound. His wife's Jeannie stirred too. They both heard it, a soft, unsettling noise coming from their daughter's room. Initially, they thought Shay, their teenage daughter, was trapped in a bad dream. But something about it didn't sit right. They decided to check on her, a decision that would turn out to be life-saving. Just moments before, Shay had snapped awake, her heart pounding. Towering above her was a menacing figure, clothed in black from head to toe, his face obscured by a black leather mask. She felt a crushing pressure on her throat, thinking it was a gun, but it was something far more sinister, a hunting knife. Shay, ripped from her dreams, found herself in a living nightmare. The masked man hissed in a chilling threat, "If you make any effing noise, I am gonna kill you." But Shay, fueled by sheer panic, chose defiance. She thrashed wildly, hoping against hope her parents would hear her desperate struggle. Now, Kevin and Jeannie, expecting nothing more than a night terror, were met with a scene straight from a horror movie. In their daughter's bedroom stood a hulking figure, a 15-inch hunting knife in his hand. Then chaos erupted. Kevin, in a move as brave as it was reckless, jumped on the intruder, trying to wrestle the knife away. The scene was wild, like something out of a rough and tumble barroom brawl. Kevin, drawing on his high school wrestling experience, fought desperately to overpower the much larger man. Ginny, witnessing the whole struggle, knew she had to act. Unable to pry the knife from the intruder's grip, she did the unthinkable. She grabbed the blade, the sharp metal slicing into her flesh. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated courage. Their heroic effort brought an end to the reign of the terror of Adam Leroy Lane, a middle-aged long-hauler truck of North Carolina. Now let's talk about his first kill. In the stillness of the night, just a couple of weeks before the terror unfolded in Chelmsford, Massachusetts, a similar horror was about to grip West Hanover, Pennsylvania. On the 13th of July 2007, Todd Ewalt's peaceful slumber was shattered in the most jarring way unimaginable. He awoke to the blinding glare of flashlights and the cold barrels of police guns trained on him. Commands were barked. Confusion reigned. Handcuffed and paraded naked through his own home, Todd's mind raced with one burning question: where is Darlene? His confusion deepened as he spotted his wife's belongings, her phone, purse, and car keys all abandoned. Now his son Nick was equally bewildered and distressed in the kitchen. The police, cold and clinical, kept them apart, bombarding them with questions. And finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the devastating truth was bluntly delivered by a detective. Your wife's dead. Hours before this nightmare, Todd and Darlene had enjoyed a pleasant dinner with their friends Pat and Sid Gerhard, even discussing a Caribbean cruise. Darlene, always a night owl, had stayed up late chatting with Chet on the phone until around 2 a.m. But later detectives would twist this innocent habit into a sordid angle for their murder investigation. But those who knew Darlene understood this was just her way. A long phone call with a friend was nothing out of the ordinary. Todd and Nick were dragged through a mire of suspicion and agony by the investigators, a torment based on no real evidence. Now, on the other note, that fateful phone call, Shea heard the chilling cries of Darlene. "Oh my God!" She repeated that 4 times. Alarmed and helpless, he called out to her, but silence was the only reply. He and his wife Pat, driven by a sense of dread, rushed to the Ewalt residence. In the backyard, under the eerie glow of a kitchen light, they found Darlene. Her lifeless body just laying there, her throat brutally slashed, her face frozen and illuminated by the ghastly light, revealing the horrific nature of her demise. Now on the prowl, like a specter in the night, Adam Leroy Lane moved with a stealth that billed his menacing intent. Cloaked in black, he blended seamlessly into the darkness, embodying the Grim Reaper in his deluded mind. His selection of victims seemed random, driven by opportunity rather than design. Darlene Ewalt's fate was sealed merely because her voice carried through the night air, drawing this predator to her. And on the 17th of July, 2007, Lane stopped at a truck stop off I-83 in Conwago Township in Pennsylvania. His sinister routine was taking shape, prowling neighborhoods like a twisted salesman, seeking out unlocked doors and windows. Now Patricia Brooks, a 37-year-old woman, unknowingly became his next target. Asleep on her couch, she awoke to a nightmare, a sharp pressure against her neck, her own blood flowing. Lane had attacked her in her sleep. Miraculously, despite the shock and pain, Patricia's screams sent him fleeing into the night, and she survived. But Lane's reign of terror continued. In Massachusetts, he broke into the home of 38-year-old Monica Massero of Bloomsbury, New Jersey. In a chilling repeat of his previous crimes, he slit her throat as she slept, leaving her body to be discovered days later. Law enforcement, grappling with these seemingly disconnected crimes, found a crucial piece of evidence: a glove at a truck stop near one of the attacks. But it wasn't until 2008 that the glove was tested, revealing DNA linking Lane to both Ewalt and the glove. This blunder, this missed opportunity, allowed Lane's spree to continue unchecked. But it was in the McDonough household where his horrific campaign came to an abrupt end. Kevin, fueled by the primal need to protect his family, grappled with Lane, his grip unyielding. Jeannie, her hands deeply cut from the struggle, stood by as Kevin held the intruder fast. Lane, realizing his end was near, begged to be released. But Kevin's resolve was unshakable, right? His words resolute. "You're not going anywhere, you fat F." When the police arrived, they found a subdued Lane, equipped with a utility belt that held a macabre arsenal, like knives, a throwing star, and choke wire. The question on everyone's mind was, who was this man who had brought such terror to their lives? "Now it's everybody's worst nightmare," said Fran Charles, the Dauphin County First Assistant District Attorney. A sentiment that echoed through the fear and vulnerability we all feel in the sanity of our homes. Our beds, our bedrooms, these are our havens. But Adam Leroy Lane shattered that illusion of safety. He turned homes into scenes of horror. By 2009 and 2010, Lane faced the consequences of his heinous acts. Led into the courthouse in Lowell, Massachusetts, chains clinking with every step, he was a changed man physically, slimmed down by prison food, his head shaven. But this appearance was deceptive. He wasn't a diminished figure, remorseful for his crimes. Instead, he often smirked at the McDonoughs during the trial, seemingly reveling in the attention. The McDonough family were rightly hailed as heroes. Their bravery not only saved their daughter, but also put an end to Lane's aspiring serial killer career. Now he's facing death penalty in Pennsylvania for the murder of Darlene Ewalt. Lane's attorney negotiated a deal. He would avoid death row, instead receiving 75 years in prison, plus a life sentence for Ewalt's murder. Lane remained tight-lipped about his motives, offering only a flimsy excuse about financial troubles. But the truth was evident. His crimes were driven not by necessity, but by a sinister desire to kill. His role as a long-haul trucker facilitated his crimes. With each attack occurring near truck stops, the FBI, alarmed by this pattern, suggested that America's highways might be hunting grounds for serial killers, with potentially hundreds of victims over the past decades. On the night of his capture by the McDonoughs, Lane was in a frenzy. Reports flooded the Chelmsford Police Department, sightings of a man in a black, lurking, attempting break-ins. Kathy Crowlow, one of the callers, described him as looking like a ninja. His capture though was pivotal. Had the McDonoughs not intervened, one shudders to think how many more lives he could have destroyed along the eastern seaboard. Darlene Ewalt and Monica Macero's tragic ends were solitary. The families laughed with the hollow comfort that their killer was stopped before he could claim more victims. Lane's spree was cut short not by chance, but by the sheer determination and courage of two parents who fought very hard to protect their child. In a world where monsters like Lane lurk in the shadows, the McDonoughs stood as beacons of bravery and resilience. That wraps up today's episode. So if you enjoyed today's story and found it very valuable, please don't forget to hit the like button, and also consider subscribing to my channel and activate all the notifications to ensure you don't miss any future uploads. Now your support means a lot to me and I appreciate it. So until next time, take care and see you soon.